Everybody, back again for our weekly visit with head coach Jody Grant. Big win against Van Buren on the road last week. Tigers dominated on defense.
Yeah, we started playing really well on defense. I think we forced 8 or 9 punts and got a few turnovers. Held them to, that's an offense over there that had been scoring some points and moving the ball up and down the field. So held them to a reasonable amount of yards total offense, and overall pleased with the way our defense played. We're fast on defense, and it showed Friday night. So our kids were tackling better, understanding things better, and it's been fun to watch.
And one of the things you were concerned about that we talked about last week was the athleticism of their quarterback, and you really contained him and you got to him with your speed.
Yeah, we did. We were able to handle him pretty well. We got a couple sacks and disrupted him a little bit. Our defensive backs played really well in coverage, which allowed our defensive line to get to him a few times. He is extremely athletic and did some things. He did have a couple scrambles that extended. I think he had a 27-yard scramble and then another similar to that. So, but considering what we had seen on film and what he had done, we weren't just, we were pleased with how that played out. And anytime you have an athletic quarterback like that, you risk, when he gets out of the pocket, he's got a chance. But we were able to control that for the most part, and I really felt like our defense really, really came to play Friday night.
Talk to us about the special teams, which really shine there. We had a special teams touchdown, which you always talk about 3 phases, and the Tigers showed out there.
Yeah, our special teams is always our focus. We talk about it a lot, and our kids see the results. You look at our kickoff team. We pin them. Obviously we want our kicker to kick it in the end zone, but if he doesn't, we challenge our guys to pin him inside the 20. And we dropped him at the 4-yard line one time, the 16 one time, and the 14 one. So that's impressive in itself, that our kickoff team is getting down the field and staying in their lanes. And we show our kids video footage of what that looks like. And as an opposing coach, how do you scheme up a return when guys are doing what they're supposed to do and doing it right? And then our kickoff team, I think if you look at our first 5 games, we're flipping the field on a regular basis. We got dangerous returners back there and guys that have bought into blocking it up. And I think more and more when you do that, you start seeing the sky kicks is what we saw a little bit more of. And what's all right, we'll take the ball at the 35 or 40-yard line. We have no problem with that on a sky kick. But pleased with that part of our game. And then obviously we think we have the top punt returner in the state, Harrison Campbell. He returned 180 yards for a touchdown. It was amazing that he even, people are all over him when he caught it, had him wrapped up, and he broke those tackles and took it down the sideline with some great blocking. The week prior he returned one, but got called back due to some flags. So he's dangerous, and it's fun to watch him. And we continually try to put pressure on a punter, and you could tell last week their answer to that was to get that ball off as quick as they could. And with that being said, you can't really control where you're punting at that point, so we were able to get some returns off that. And so we're doing good. I'm pleased with our special teams play, and we hope to continue to build on that.
Talk about the consistency of the offense. We started off a little slow. We made some deep drives into their territory, and then we had a couple of turnovers, but then things got shored up, and we got the sportsmanship rule in effect again 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I think you have to look at the big picture. I think going into halftime, I was frustrated with our offense, feeling like, we had a 23-0 lead, but 2 of those scores were off. One was special teams, one was a pick six. And I felt like we'd moved the ball, but there's not a whole lot of point production there. So, but when you go back and look at it, we just 2 crucial turnovers after driving down inside the red zone or close to the red zone, and then a couple just silly penalties that affected us in first down. We'd have first down, but we'd have a penalty. We ended up having 7 penalties, which is more than what we've shown the previous 2 weeks. That kind of looked like what we were earlier in the year. And just little mental breakdowns that are very correctable. But, we ended up having 475 yards total offense, which you never, turned that down. That was pretty impressive. You'd like to see us not start off slow, but as long as we're learning and growing through the process and we got to eliminate turnovers, I think we're going to be okay.
Games like these, Coach, where the game you guys get it in hand at some point. You get to play a lot of players on your bench. Kids get to play. Kids get opportunities. Talk to us about how valuable that is for the future.
Well, I think it's really important, and I think people miss on that a lot within this profession. That's the beauty of the sportsmanship rule is the game is in hand at that point. The clock is now running. It's the opportunity to play kids that need to get that Friday night experience. And really, truthfully, just those kids that have worked their tail off in practice. You know, one of my number one goals in games like that is to get the scout team running back who's got his head pounded in for 3 or 4 straight days, an opportunity to carry it on a Friday night, and if the opportunity presents itself, maybe get a score. And I think it's important that, and not just the running back, but all of them. But I just think it's an opportunity to get those guys in, and we do that. I think everybody that went with us played. I think everybody that's been dressed for us the past 2 weeks has played. That keeps them hungry, and it keeps them wanting to be a part of it, and it's valuable experience. So now when we need them in a crucial role, they've at least been out there before, and so it's important.
And you guys have been the road warriors lately. We were just talking a minute ago about how you guys have front-loaded all the games on the road this year, and then the back end of the year you're going to have a lot of home games. But we're back on the road next week against Heritage, a familiar foe just right across town. Let's talk about them.
Yeah, we're going over to Heritage, and we have been on the road a lot, and it's going to be nice to get back home soon and have a few at our place where our crowd's phenomenal. But it's our hope that traveling over to Heritage, being close enough to our community, that our people will travel over there and watch our kids perform. Heritage is a team that's struggled on the year. They're sitting right now at 0-5, but like I told some people earlier in the week, if you just sat down and watched film of them and not, especially offensively, not knowing what their record was, you would be surprised that, if I said, hey, this is an 0-5 football team, because they do operate and have good schemes and do good things. It's just not happening for them right now. And, I'm impressed with their quarterback. I think they've got a good running back. These are guys that have had some experience. We saw this quarterback a little bit last year. Talking to some of the coaches in the conference, they all agree this kid can play. We just it's one of those games where when you're we just talk about ourselves, worry about us. Don't worry about our opponent. Obviously, you got to respect our opponent no matter what the record is, but it's important for the Bentonville Tigers to get better from week 5 to week 6 and then carry on that throughout the season. So that's what we've talked about throughout the week.
Expand upon that a little bit. It's a situation where they are 0-5. You guys are 2-0 in the conference. You've looked good the last 2 weeks. You're right where you want to be, where it counts. But what's the message to your team this week when you face a team that is down on their luck? How do you not fall into a trap?
Well, you talk about that very thing. You say, what does the Heritage War Eagles have to lose? They're not expected to win in the eyes of the media, in the eyes of people. So, and that's what we talk to our kids about. All week they're going to hear how they're supposed to beat Heritage because Heritage is 0-5. And it's our job as coaches to keep them grounded and understand that at any point you can be beat. We talked about with our team, I talked about it in the meeting room on Monday, how one of our state championship teams went over there and they played their tail off. And truthfully, we caused a fumble and had to kick a field goal with Bennett Mooring in the last 30 seconds of the game to beat them. And the situation wasn't a whole lot different. We were heavily favored in that game as well. So I just think they understand that, and you can't ignore what they've done. Like they were up on Springdale 14-0 in the first 3 minutes of the football game. They scored against Harbor and did some things. So they're getting better each week. I know early on they struggled, but so did we. And it's a matter of they're doing exactly what their coaches want them to do as far as getting better each week. And we always here at our program has always taught our kids to respect their opponent regardless of their record because they practice just like we do. And one of these times, Heritage is going to sneak up on somebody, and our objective is for it not to happen this week.
The great Tiger teams have always had a really, really strong defense. I think every single week we're seeing this one get better. Talk to us a little bit about the impact of the coaches on that side. Coach Cherico, Coach Cecil, yourself. What do those guys bring to the table?
Well, we're very blessed. You're right. We've had a lot of really good defenses, and I think, truthfully, we probably have one of the best defenses in the conference statistically and just overall. I think the important part of our defense is our speed across the board. We're fast and play, relentlessly. But we're blessed to have a very good defensive staff. Coach Cecil's our defense coordinator. Coaches our inside linebacker. Coach Calvert is our outside linebackers coach. Coach Jericho's our D-line coach. And then we share the secondary between Coach Hutchins and Coach Baggett. And all these guys are intelligent football guys that can get across to their kids. And We just try to make sure our kids understand what they're getting from the offense, and it's what we teach them is it's my responsibility and our coach's responsibility to know what everything that they're doing, but it's your responsibility to know what affects you and how that. And we just kind of break it down like that. I know that's a general answer, but it's the truth. If you sat in our defensive rooms, we're going to go in a film session here in just a second, and we're going to try to simplify it even more for them. That way our kids aren't having to think. They're just flying and we set goals and we hold them accountable to those goals. The goals that we create for the week, we try to get those goals in practice and make a big deal about it. We're working hard right now to turn over the turnover category to we're plus. Right now we're hovering around minus in that area. We've turned it over more than we've got them, and we're trying our goals to flip that this week. And one thing I think is that I appreciate so much is the time that our defensive staff puts in, our whole staff, but we're specifically talking about defense, of grinding in the film room. It takes a lot when you're watching an opponent. You spend a lot of hours in the film room, and it's funny. We'll text each other at 10 o'clock at night because none of us are sleeping. We're all watching film on our iPads or whatever, laying in bed, and that's the special thing about this group is it's not just a paycheck to these guys. It's their passion, and they love these kids, and they want to be a part of something special. And each year I tell our defense, it's our goal, defensively is we want to be the best defense in the conference. And it's not just important to the coaches, it's important to the kids.
Well, and that's one thing. It's interesting you bring that up. I've been around other athletic directors, and there's been conversations about the amount of film that's watched. And the Tigers, when we tell them how much they watch, they're always blown away by it. You guys are always looking for any advantage you can get out there on Friday nights. How much film time do you guys put in a week?
A lot. So, as a staff, we're probably, if you count our Saturday morning, just data entry and just initial looking at a team, we're probably spending, I would say around 12 to 15 hours between Saturday and Sunday. And then throughout the week, our coaches, to each their own, will watch some during their prep periods and when they can. And then in the evenings, but I mean, it's a lot. It's to the point where I don't sleep great at night, and so I'm watching at night a lot. And other coaches are the same way. I talked to Coach Calvert the other day, and he walked in my office and he said, "Well, I was watching film this morning at 3 a.m. and I'm just like, what are you doing?" And he's I just couldn't sleep. So he's just like the rest of us. You get it. It consumes you. Whether that's good or bad, it's reality. I tell my wife all the time, I'm tired of being tired because I just don't sleep. But I'll sleep, after December, I guess, or don't worry about that right now because that's just part of the process.
Yeah, and a positive thing about this is your offensive side of the ball gets to go up against a defense like this that's prepared. What kind of challenge does that present for the offense?
Well, I think it's a great challenge. I tell our offensive guys every day that the defensive line that you see daily in practice and all through spring and all through fall camp, I doubt you see one as good. And linebackers, you probably won't see them as fast. And there's a few teams that'll have some guys that can run, and that's true for our entire defense. And so it's great for them, and it shows sometimes when I get worried about, are we going to be able to run the football because we're not running it great in practice? Well, then all of a sudden we rushed last week, I think, for 300 yards. And, if you'd have watched them going against some of our guys in practice, that would surprise you. But it's just, they're going against really good guys within our own team, and it makes them better.
And not to look ahead, but let's just talk about this a little bit. Next weekend, we do have a homecoming event and a homecoming parade on Saturday that you guys are going to be a part of. Talk about that a little bit and what the fans can expect.
Well, I think it's just an opportunity for our community to come out and just support those everybody involved within a homecoming deal. And homecoming, I'll be honest with you, homecoming's not something head football coaches are fired up about because it's potentially a distraction. But I think it's only a distraction if you let it be. It's fun for the kids. It's fun for those that are involved. So we'll see how that plays out, and it'll be exciting.
Absolutely. Coach Grant, the Tigers looking to square up their record at 3-3 on the road this week at Rogers Heritage. Game time 7 o'clock. Will be broadcast live on the official Tiger app, the Bentonville Sports Network, and on Twitter. Coach, best of luck. Let's talk again next week, hopefully after a big win.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Thank you. This is the OTP.